This is Caitlin, your host of the No Sleep for Dramas podcast, where we get no sleep and survive on coffee to watch just one more episode at night. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the No Sleep for Dramas podcast. We have something very special for you today. I have always done these versus episodes as solo episodes up until now, but today I have invited on a guest to do this versus episode with me, and I think our perspectives are going to be different and interesting when we talk about this anime and this J-drama. And today I brought on Becky. Hello, Becky. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm a little sick, so I apologize if I sound sick. But anyway, we are going to be reviewing slash talking about the anime Erased and the J-drama version Erased, and then we're going to be contrasting, reviewing, talking in length about all this stuff. But first, Becky, as always, what are you currently watching and enjoying or not enjoying?
I have gone down a rabbit hole of it's literally just a movie and it's not even a drama. It's just an animated movie on Netflix called K-pop Demon Hunters, and I was also trying to get Caitlin to watch it. But it's a good one. That's been my obsession for the last 48 hours since it's come out. Otherwise, I'm watching Our Unwritten Soul, and I am also watching The Prisoner of Beauty and really enjoying those. How about you?
Yeah, I'm watching a lot, but obviously I have priorities due to podcast episodes. So this week I was watching Erased, and then next week I have to finish Love Like the Galaxy. I'm really hoping that once I have 10, 15 episodes left. Hopefully I can finish that, and then I need to start Prisoner of Beauty. I was
Yes, it's
hoping
so
to
good.
start it this week, but I just didn't get around to it. I need to start next week. And then I'm hoping I can watch Karma next week too, because it's only 6 episodes, but we'll have to see. I'm not getting anything off my current watch list that I should be getting off. I'm just adding stuff due to podcast recordings. But
That's
yeah,
amazing.
currently I'm watching Love Like the Galaxy because I have to finish it. But that's pretty much it.
Nice.
Other than all my backlog that I'm still quote unquote currently watching. Okay, so I actually suggested that we review Erased because I had seen the drama and I knew you had seen the anime, and I thought it would be interesting to get different perspectives and see what you thought about the drama because you had never seen the drama
No,
and
I had
I
not.
had never seen the anime. So I thought that would be very interesting. Overall, how did watching go for you? Did you have a method of not watching, or whatever, or did you just watch?
It went well. I pretty much binged it. There
Mm,
was I think I took a day or so because I was busy, but then I just finished binging it. It's easy because the episodes are so short, but it's
mhm.
definitely something where you want to click next on the next episode because it's a cliffhanger every episode, so it's not hard
Right.
to binge. So yeah, it went pretty well for me. How about you with the anime?
I attempted I attempted to do one episode of the anime and one episode of the drama and then watch the second episode and it was a lot of going
Too
back and
much
forth
time.
that I was
Yeah.
just like, whatever. So I binged the anime first because I had already seen the drama,
Mhm.
which I'm happy I did that due to the things I saw.
Yeah.
And I don't wanna give spoilers yet, but, so yeah, I basically just binged the anime, and then I binged the rest of the J-drama once I was done with the anime. Because again, both of them are, the anime's, 20 minutes long an episode, 25,
Yeah.
and then the drama's, 30-minute episodes or something like that, 45-minute, I think, depending on the length. I think as you got further into the drama, the episodes got a little longer, but it was never, an hour, hour and a half, whatever. I basically ended up binging one and then the other because I hadn't seen the J-drama since 2018.
Yeah.
I hadn't, I remembered some of it, but I also remembered things differently than I thought they were.
I wish I would've, like, rewatched the anime because I only just watched the live action, but it's been, I kid you not, I don't even know how long it's been since I watched the anime, probably, like,
Mm,
I don't know, 7 or 8 years, a while. It's been a while, so I feel like I'm gonna need you to refresh my memory on some parts.
that's okay. That's okay. That's fine. All right. So the format of a versus episode, if you have never listened to a solo episode of this, is I'll introduce the shows. We'll talk about synopsis, cast, everything like that. Then we'll give our overall non-spoiler reviews of both with our ratings, and then we'll go into spoiler territory, talk about deep dive into both, talk about similarities, differences, and then overall at the end, if we can, we'll say which one we preferred. That will be the format of this episode. Going into introducing them, I'm going to introduce the J drama first. Erased is a Japanese drama on Netflix. It aired December 15th, 2017. All the episodes dropped that day. It is a Netflix original. If I remember correctly, it is one of the first Asian dramas Netflix ever did. If you remember, Kingdom
Ooh.
came out in 19, so this is 2 years prior to Kingdom. I don't think I remember any other Asian drama that's a Netflix original before this, but I could be wrong. This is a Japanese drama. The synopsis, according to MDL, is, and I'm going to butcher all of these names, I apologize in advance. Fujinuma Satoru is an aspiring manga artist who has the ability to travel back in time moments before a life threatening incident, in which he is able to prevent these incidents from happening. When his mother is murdered from an unknown assailant, Satoru's ability suddenly sends him back 18 years to when he was still in elementary school, giving him the opportunity to prevent a kidnapping incident that took the lives of three of his childhood friends, two classmates, and a young girl studying at a school nearby. I thought that pretty much summed up what it was without giving like
Yeah.
humongous spoilers away. That's why I just put the My Drama List synopsis in there. Going into the cast of the J drama, the director is Shimoyama Ten. He's done a lot of movies, J drama Untouchable, but hasn't really done anything since 2022. And I didn't recognize anything that he has done. So I could not find screenwriters for this. I looked on multiple different Asian sites that I know, and I could not find a name for a screenwriter. I apologize for that. The main roles are Furakama Yuki. He was the older version of Satoru before he went back in time. Furakama Yuki is probably most famous for Itanura Nakis, which is my first drama with him. He's done multiple seasons with that. He obviously has done other things, but that is probably his most famous J drama. Again, I'm gonna apologize in advance. I do not know how to pronounce this guy's name. Uchikawa Ryo? I think that's how you pronounce it. He played the younger version of Satoru in 1988. He has done a ton of movies since Erased, but has done no dramas. He was in movies like The Blue Hearts and Makuko, to name a few. Do you know either one of these
I don't
actors,
know any of
Becky?
those, unfortunately. I was looking them up too as you were talking about them to see what other works that I would know them in, but I don't think I've seen any
Yeah.
other things besides Erased.
Yeah, and the only reason I know Furukawa Yuki because Itazuru Nakis was my first J drama ever, so I love him. But I have not seen him much beyond Itanura Nakis or Erased either, even though I know he has dramas on Viki that I still have to watch. And just basically, again, I need to watch more J dramas because clearly, looking at these people's resumes, I
There's so
haven't
many to
watched a ton.
watch.
There's so many. Yeah, half the problem is there's so many to watch, but we might not have access to them, but fully knowing there's definitely other dramas we could find, I
Yeah.
guess. Okay, so some of the more prominent supporting cast is Kuratani Tomoka. She played Saturo's mother. She has been acting forever. I have not seen her in anything but this, but if you go on MDL, she has a long, 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 long list of dramas and movies. Then we have Tatsugi Shigeyuki. He was a teacher when Satoru was in 1988. The dramas I've seen him in are Final Life. That is a J drama that Taemin from Shiny was in.
Mm.
He has a support role in that. He did a guest role in Criminologist Homura and Mystery Layer Arasugawa, which is like a Sherlock Holmes type situation. And then he also did a support role in The Perfect Insider, which is a crazy, crazy mystery drama from like, I don't know, 2015 or so,
Okay.
um, with a professor and his student, which I remember him from that one. I don't remember him from Final Life or the Sherlock Holmes one, but he also has been acting forever and has a long list to his name. Then we have Yuki Mio. She is the co-worker of the adult version of Satura in Tokyo. The only thing I can recognize on her resume is she was in Death Note, the live adaptation, which was 2016. So the year before this drama, she was in Death Note,
Okay.
which I have yet to watch, actually. I've seen the
Same. I
anime.
did not see the live action. I only have seen the anime.
And then we have Kakihara Rinka. She is the prominent young girl student that we'll talk about in the spoiler section because I don't want to talk about, but she plays a girl, a student of Saturo's. Again, don't know any of her dramas that MDL has listed. And then lastly, I'll just mention that Shirasu Jin is also in this as a support role. He plays the older version of one of his other classmates, Kenya. I know I've seen him in other dramas. I don't think I've watched any of his other dramas, but I know he's done other dramas that people would know him from,
Yeah.
but I haven't watched anything other than Erased. You can go on MDL and look at their long list of resumes. Those
Yeah.
are some of the people that are in Erased. So there you go. Do you want to talk about any of these people?
I'm like literally looking at all the stuff I've seen. I need to watch more J dramas, I guess,
Same.
because I'm looking at this list and I'm like, I don't recognize. I haven't seen any of these. Like, I mean, I'm going through the whole cast right now, so this just makes me want to watch more J dramas for sure.
The other problem I have too is one, I was writing this sheet that I'm reading off of this morning. So that was my bad. But also, MDL, I don't know, it had to be at least a year ago, maybe more, changed all the titles
Duh.
to like what they are. So mostly in J drama land, it's like the Japanese titles.
Yeah.
It takes me so much longer to find a J drama that if I to know if I've seen it or not, because I obviously recognize it from the English title. Like I never call Erased its Japanese title, which I know
Yeah.
it. I absolutely know it, but I never say it.
Yeah. I did like I didn't know they did it to all of them, but I have been noticing that for a lot of the dramas, the names you can't find them because they change it up,
Right.
which is totally fine, but
Yeah.
you have to do some research to definitely figure out which one you have
Right.
watched.
Right. Exactly. That was the J drama. And then we'll quickly introduce the anime. I didn't find a ton of information on the animes. The anime aired January 8th, 2016 to March 25th, 2016. It has 12 episodes. I watched it on Hulu
Ooh.
because if you attempt to watch it on Crunchyroll and subbed, not dubbed, but subbed, Crunchyroll does not sub the thoughts of the characters.
Oh, that's rude.
The first episode, which is like 75% of Satura thinking to himself, could not understand a single thing he was thinking,
Oh
let
my
alone
gosh.
anybody else. Hulu has everything subbed, so I would recommend go watching it on Hulu if you're in the United States.
That's good.
And they don't do dubbed in the Crunchyroll. It's only Japanese subbed. You didn't even have the option to do English dubbed on Crunchyroll. I don't know why. Apparently, it's a thing. I read it on like Reddit that a lot of Crunchyroll subs, especially with the older anime, don't do the thoughts for some reason.
That's weird, cause like, that's a
Yeah.
huge part of it. Like, that's
Yeah.
actually I think
Yeah.
I even wrote down in my notes, I was like, "I love that we can hear the thoughts," because, like, we're seeing the scene, but then we're actually seeing how the character really feels, in
Right.
those thoughts,
Right.
which is a cool little
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. So, recommendation, watch it on Hulu. The writers are Taku Kishimoto, Hai Sambe, and Yutaka Yasunaga. I got this from IMDb, so if that is wrong, I apologize, but that is what IMDb said. Taku Kishimoto he wrote, for example, Blue Lock, and he also worked on the composition of Sakamoto Days, which I want to watch. I actually want to watch both of these anime. Kai Sambe has done everything Erased. He's done the movie in 2016, he's did the anime, and he also worked on the J-drama, apparently,
Gosh.
according to the IMDb.
Yeah.
And then Yutaka Yusunaga, one of the animes he's worked on is The Seven Deadly Sins. That's the only one I recognized. Taku Kishimoto had a long list of anime, both both writer and composition. I don't exactly know what composition means, but
Yeah. I
yeah,
saw some of Blue Lock and I really liked it. I don't remember why I paused it, but I know that's and Sakamoto Days I've heard great things about.
I have to.
I think I heard it's sad. Or is
Oh,
that the
really?
one that's
Oh, okay.
sad? I don't know, I might be thinking of a different one.
Sakamoto Days is the one where the guy used to be an assassin, and
Okay,
he
maybe not.
retires and becomes, like, a grocery store person.
Maybe I'm thinking of I don't know what I'm thinking of, but all the other
Sakamoto Days came
ones
out, like, this year. It's in Netflix.
yeah, that's what I wanted to know if it was sad. I don't remember what I heard about it, but
It could
I've
be
heard
sad.
about it. But the 7 Deadly Sins I
Yeah,
also am familiar with as
yeah.
well.
And he's, like, married. Sakamoto Days guy married, and his wife is like, "You better not fight anybody." And so he is, like, retired basically and becomes, like, fat and sits in the grocery store all day, but then
Oh.
nobody else thinks that he's actually retired, so he's constantly fighting people while trying to hide it from his wife.
Oh my gosh. No, I haven't. Okay, I'm thinking of a different one then for sure, but that's funny. I'll have to watch that. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Okay.
Anyway, the order of the Erased that I could find, the manga came out in 2006, the anime came out in 2016, there was a J-movie version, live adaptation in 2016 as well, and then the J-drama that we're gonna be talking about came out in 2017. That's all that I found. That is the introduction to both of what we're gonna be talking about. Becky, would you want to do the non-spoiler reviews
Yeah.
first, or do
Yeah,
you wanna me to go?
we can get into it. I just kind of want to like cover the basis of this anime if no one really, knows if the My Drama list description wasn't enough. What you kind of see in the beginning, this guy's like he's 27, right? Or like in his
Yeah, something
late
around there, late
Yes.
20s. Yeah,
And he's just like very unfulfilled, just working a job every day where he's delivering stuff. And you can see he's just not happy. But there's things that pop up where it's almost like a temporal shift. It like freezes and then he has to figure out what's wrong and see if he can fix it. It's a moment in time that's kind of paused and he can kind of do something about it or just let it be. And we see in the beginning, there's a moment where a driver falls asleep at the wheel and he decides to help out and do something. He ends up in the hospital, all kinds of stuff. But the big part of this was when it happens and he's like, what's going on? What's happening? What's going wrong? What could I possibly fix or know about? But his mom is the one that basically sees something that triggers a memory from his childhood when all of these child disappearings and like murders, right, were happening, kidnappings
right,
were
right.
happening. And she tells her son, like, I think I know, like, it almost confirms that they got the wrong person in this case
Right.
from, like, a long time ago.
She investigates it herself.
Exactly, and then in the next couple of days, he comes home and he finds his mom dead.
Yes.
And I literally completely forgot. I think I was writing down as I was watching it because I was like, why would he run away from the crime scene? But I realized he's following the person because the person's running away that just killed his mom. He's just trying to catch the person that killed his mom, but it looks like he's running away from the crime scene. And it's basically
Right,
making it look
right.
like he killed his own mother, which the police
Yes.
are kind of after him. And, then he ends up going back in time. And now he is this child again, but with his brain that's 27 years old, trying to
Right.
solve the kidnappings, figure out who's doing it, and kind of do it himself and save his classmates. And that in itself is such an interesting plot line.
Mhm.
I forgot so many things. I was watching this and I forgot so much from the anime because it's been so long since I watched it. Because I think I watched it when it came out. So
Mm.
it's been a really long time because I forgot about the moments where he goes back. I completely
Oh,
forgot.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
forgot that the killer, because in real time, because the timelines get kind of a little confusing, but in real
Right.
time, he goes back and I here's my thing. I remember in the anime, I had a qualm with how he was kind of I don't want to say flirting, but there's the younger person that he works with. Is she still in high school or she
Yes.
graduated? Yeah,
Yes.
she's
She's
still in
she's
high school
she's, like, 17.
and
Yeah.
he's
The
27. The age
the
gap
age
was
gap was
not
not comfortable.
was not comfortable at all
Was not
because
comfortable.
there's moments, and this is actually a huge qualm for me in general with animes that do this. They're interesting when it is a grown man going back into like a child's body, but when they're being weird with kids, right? And when their thoughts are like, oh, she's pretty, or you are a 27-year-old man, even though you're in a child's body, it's uncomfortable. It feels
Right. Right.
weird. That's my I remember in the anime, I didn't like that they were making it seem like there could be a romance between those two. I just wanted it to be kind of very platonic, which I feel like in the live action, it was more respectful, whereas in the anime, it was a bit uncomfy at times, I feel
Yeah.
with that. But the live action, I forgot so many things because I forgot that in present day, the killer is still trying to frame our main guy. And so what he does is he sees that he has connections with this girl that he works with and then is now trying to frame the girl too. Like I forgot that he got the girl involved and all that stuff and then pushed her off the thing and I was like there's so much, but I love and I've always loved the storytelling where slowly his friends start to come together and help him solve this case.
Right.
That was a really
Right.
cool moment. And of course, the heartfelt moments where obviously the kidnapper is targeting kids that are alone most of the time, kids that are in abusive households, kids that don't have anyone to lean on for support. And so we're seeing the main character try and befriend some of these kids that were kidnapped because they
Right.
were all alone and they had no one. And seeing the friendship is just always so beautiful. I was always such a fan of that. But I'm going on a whole feel free to step in at any moment, Caitlin. Because it's a lot. It's a lot, but it's
Yeah.
also it's done really well.
It is done
I
well. Yeah.
specifically thought the live action had really good cinematography.
Yes. I love the cinematography of the live action.
It was so good, and the thing is, like, I think the thing that stuck out the most to me was the bridge scene with the fireworks.
Yeah. I remember that completely differently.
Really?
And then we'll have to talk about that later. I remember that completely differently because I didn't remember the fireworks part of it.
Oh,
I
no,
thought
same.
it was
I no, I'm
something
telling you,
completely different.
I blacked out. Like, when I got to the ending parts of this, I didn't remember anything. I didn't remember any of that. The coma stuff, I forgot about. I didn't even remember that. I was like, "What?
Yeah.
When does this
Well,
happen?"
the bridge part isn't in the anime.
It's not okay, wait, you
No,
need
it's
to
the yeah.
we gotta
We'll get
discuss.
into that. We'll get into that. That's a
Should we
huge difference between the live adaptation and the anime.
Should
Yeah.
we get into spoiler territory?
Okay. First off, though,
Yeah, you go.
do you have ratings on like your J drama and anime yet?
So here's my thing. I remember when I watched the anime, I loved it. I thought it was great. There was definitely a part of it that I was like, okay, now I think the ending I had a qualm with, but I don't remember what the qualm was. But I'm sure it's the same qualm you probably have. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
So as soon as you were like, yeah, there's some things we won't agree. I don't remember the anime ending at all, but I know I had a qualm with it. But I still like the anime so much that I did watch it a second time later with someone. And
Mhm.
I recommended it to people because I thought it was good. But I do believe the live action, I think it just does it a little bit better. I feel.
Yeah.
I think I like the live action better than the anime. Um, yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I'm the same way, but I'm also probably biased because I watched the J drama first
Yeah.
and then I watched the anime. And for me, we'll get into more, but I felt, as you said, apparently what I learned on Google is the manga wasn't finished when the anime came out.
What? That's
I could be
wild.
wrong on that. I could be wrong on that, but I thought I read somewhere that the manga wasn't finished. And so they couldn't do the ending that the manga had because they didn't know the ending. Whereas the drama had the ending of the manga.
Well, thank goodness, because yeah, that makes sense then why everyone, because I have seen discourse on the internet regarding the ending for the anime where they're just like, I didn't like it. It wasn't
Yeah,
and that makes a lot of sense as to why it felt like it was kind of incomplete and
right.
why we didn't like the direction it went.
Yeah. So I think even if I had watched the anime first and then watched the J-drama, I think I would have still preferred the
Yeah.
J-drama. I gave the J-drama a 9 out of 10, and then I gave the anime an 8 out of 10
Oh, yeah. I think that'd be the same
because I
for me
still
too.
liked the anime. I
Yeah.
just had issues with it. But I also had issues with the J-drama too.
Mm.
That's my rating.
Okay.
I would prefer the J-drama overall as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into deep diving into both of these and talking about everything. And so, this is your spoiler warning. We're going to go into details, obviously, talk about similarities and differences, huge spoilers on plot and everything like that. Who the killer is, what happened in the end.
Who
Like,
done it?
yeah, if you don't want to be spoiled, don't listen because it's all going to be spoilers.
We're
So,
gonna
this is your
ruin the show
spoiler
for
warning.
you.
Exactly. Exactly. Going into the J drama, again, I binged the anime first
Yeah.
and then I started watching the J drama. Up to the point, the J drama was pretty faithful to the anime until the last 5 episodes.
Yeah.
And then it completely did not follow the anime due to the fact that it was actually following the manga, apparently, according to Google.
Remind me what happens in the anime.
In the anime, he goes back in time. He doesn't succeed the first time. They die. And then he goes back into the present
Mhm.
and he gets arrested, right? Under the bridge.
Mhm.
And then he goes back again. And knowing that he did actually change something, but the result was still the death of the kid, they just
Yeah.
changed the date to whatever. Then he goes back again and he ends up saving everybody, but he becomes a victim himself. He
Yeah.
goes into the lake or the river in the car
I
and ends
completely
up in a
forgot about
coma.
that part, straight up. I
Yeah.
forgot about the coma. All of a sudden, I was like, "The what? When did this happen?" Love it. Love being
Yeah,
surprised.
so he ends up in freezing cold water in the winter, and apparently, this was a little more explained in the J-drama, so I'm pulling stuff from the J-drama, but basically,
Okay.
apparently, he was nose deep in this river, he was in the front seat, and in the anime, he was awake during that whole thing. In the drama, he wasn't. And some passerby person came out, pulled him out. According to the J drama, she was a vet, so she knew CPR. And so the cold water allowed his body to not actually fully die along with brain function. So it caused him to go into a coma for the next 18 years.
18 years is such a long time.
Right, right. So then he wakes up in the hospital in the anime. He lost all his memory and everything. So then he has to like relearn everything, including walking and what had happened and whatever. And then he has that girl that he meets in the hospital, the cancer
Yeah.
patient.
Yeah, as soon
So
as I
in the
saw her, I'm like, "That's
anime,
gonna be the next target."
yeah. So in the anime, he learns about the killer guy
Mhm.
messing with her surgery while she's in surgery when they're on the roof of the hospital. Satoru
I
knows
forgot.
that this politician guy who used to be his teacher is going to kill him on the roof. So they have this whole monologue and conversation on the roof, and the guy is basically threatening like, yeah, I messed with her surgery, so she's going to be my next victim, all this stuff. And then Satoru decides to sacrifice himself, in quotes, to stop the guy because in realization with the conversation on the roof, apparently the politician went cold turkey, did not kill anybody because Satoru ended up living. And for some reason, there was this connection with this teacher that because he was still alive, he needed to actually kill the guy, but he didn't want to kill anybody else because he was disinterested in killing anybody
It's
until
the
he could kill
hunt, it's
Satoru.
the chase. Well, I feel like we should go into, like, the big reveal, because the big
Yeah,
reveal, that's a big reveal. I was on the edge of my seat even
right.
though I knew it. Which we gotta talk about Netflix and their covers, because I will never forget it had been so long since I had watched the anime, and I see it's on Netflix, or it was on Netflix or something, and it shows the killer as the cover of the show, and I'm like,
Yeah,
"Excuse me?"
yeah,
So this whole show, we're seeing him in school and we're seeing the people that he's around. We see moments with his mom, we see moments with this other girl's mom who is abusive towards her daughter. We see moments with the teachers, and there's specifically one teacher, and he is always so supportive. He's always there for the kids. He's always just like absolutely, and you can see he's a safe person for Satoru.
Right.
He goes up
He's
to
like a
him
father figure.
and he's like, I really want to make sure that she has friends. And he's like, I think it's great that you want to be friends with her. I think that's so good. And you can just see he's always thinking the best for the kids. And there's a moment when they're in the car. They're in the car and he does this tapping. It's
Yes.
this little tapping. And you wouldn't think anything of it. You're just like, oh, he's got like a thing. But then he's like, oh, can you open the glove box? Or the glove box gets opened and then there's like a now you know my secret. And you're like, wait, hold on. I never thought of him like this. He's a father figure. He's so good to the kids. What? And it's candy. And he's just like, I'm addicted to
Yeah.
candy. You know my secret now. I love lollipops. Okay. Well, now we're still looking for the killer. But there's also such intense scenes in this show where they're trying to save the girl that's getting abused. And so they're trying to find ways so she's not at home to get hurt by her mom. I think they literally kidnap her and basically take her to this abandoned
Yeah.
bus and they make it homey for her. And they're like, we just want you to stay here because we want to make sure you're safe. And there's a night where she's in this bus sleeping alone and someone comes into the bus and they walk up and they just seem pissed off. There's a curtain that's separated so they can't see that she's in the bus on the other side of the bus. But she sees this grown man throwing a tantrum, throwing his backpack down. And I was kind of mad at how long it took for her to tell the boys, hey, somebody was in the bus the other night, you know? But then she does
Right.
tell them, and they open the
Right.
backpack that the guy threw, and it has kidnapping materials. It has all the stuff that was in the newspapers years after about how they killed these people or these
Right.
kids. So that's a crazy part, I thought. But the big thing basically is you're seeing all these characters in the show trying to piece together who the killer is. And you get that moment that's, wait, the way he said, you know my secret. Is this the guy? But then you're like, false alarm. It's not him. And so then he sees this girl at like, is it a hockey game? Or like
Yeah.
a,
It's a
yeah.
hockey game. Yeah. It's a
And
hockey game.
she's the one that's going to be targeted next. So he's just trying to keep an eye on her and she goes to the bathroom. Well, actually, she just kind of disappears and he thinks that she was kidnapped. So he goes outside because he's like, oh my gosh, she was kidnapped because he sees the truck of like that he possibly thinks could have her body in it. And he goes outside to try and save her. And then that's where the teacher is. And he's like, oh, hey, no, yeah, like I can give you or I can help you. And as they're driving, same situation again. He like, it's like, oh, can you open the glove box or whatever? Or does he say open the glove box or does Satoru just do
No.
it?
Satoru, it gets a little uncomfortable and he's like, "Hey, you want some candy?" And then goes to open.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
not even so yeah, he's just like, "You want candy?" Opens the glove box and then it has laxatives in it because he put that in
Yeah.
the girls so she would leave and he could kind of figure out cuz basically his plans are being thwarted by a child
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
pissing him off. And that's honestly what drives
Yeah.
him to that point where he is in the future now where he's like I have to kill this kid even though he's been in a coma for 18 years. Like I want to kill this guy cuz he thwarted all my plans, but how did he know them? And like almost like
Yeah.
in a sense like if you watch Sherlock and those like psychotic murderers like that, you know, it's a game. It's a game.
Yeah, and I think him knowing the future made
Yeah.
that connection a little stronger in the teacher's head, was like, "He knows me so well. He knows what I'm gonna do. So I
S-
can't kill him because he's the one that understands me and
Yeah.
understands my motives and understands my thought process.
And
But
it's
I
like
have to kill him eventually if I wanna start killing again."
and yeah, and it's just crazy because he basically traps our main guy in the car and then everything's revealed and then he's just like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, I'm the killer. You figured it out, but now you get to die." But then he goes in that coma.
Yeah.
It's so messed up. I don't remember was this backstory in the anime with his brother?
No, it was not. It was
'Cause
not in the
that
anime.
was twisted. Cause
Yeah.
in the
Yeah, so
live
that's why he sees
action
the strings. That's why he
yeah.
sees the strings.
And in the live action, they go into why he kills, and it's a really
Yes.
messed up with his brother and all kinds of stuff, and he's just evil, really, and he has the urge
Yeah.
to kill people, and he specifically loves killing children. It's really
Yeah.
messed up. But it's just crazy though that it's his teacher because he's in so many scenes. I was screaming at my laptop at one point because the abusive mother that's abusing her child, they call child services and the teacher gets involved. At this point, I've already seen it. So I'm just like, "Don't call the teacher to come to the house. Like, that's the person that kills the daughter." But then they do
Right.
it in a way where you think possibly the mother coulda killed the daughter. There's so many suspects that your wheels are turning the whole time trying to figure out who is really the killer. And then it's this happy-go-lucky teacher that was always there for the kids, and it's just almost like it's crazy. It's
Right.
crazy. What did you think of
Right.
that the first time you watched it when the teacher was revealed?
In the J-drama, I thought that was perfectly paced. I didn't think they revealed too much. I thought it was a good cliffhanger on cliffhanger. I think I kind of got the idea it was him in the exact same scene you said with the candy. I think I was,
Yeah, it's
"Okay, that's a little weird
and the
with a bunch of
tapping.
candy." Yeah, and
Yeah,
the tapping thing, yeah. It wasn't very apparent to me when I was watching it the first time, I don't think, and it wasn't boring either. It was a little cliche, obviously, with, like, a
yeah.
teacher-student situation, but
Mhm.
I thought it was well done.
Yeah, me too. What you were saying about the anime, the live action is completely that's crazy that they
Yeah.
changed, but the live action, the fact that well, he's a councilman now. He was a teacher, now he's a
Yes.
councilman, and he created the event to kill
Yes.
the girl that Satura is now close with because they were both going through recovery stuff in the hospital and like she was gonna have certain, and they kind of like became friends. But it wasn't weird, like, they're just there for each other. And now he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill this girl because she's close to him."
And set
And
Satoru up again.
yeah, and he sets him up again, creates the event. But oh my gosh, he was in crutches, and I was getting so mad because I'm like, please do not go in the forest with your crutches,
I
my
know.
guy. Like that is not ethic. That is not gonna be good for you. I really liked the live action because with the backpack and the phone, because in the live action, when he's trying to set him up, he is texting people, looks like that number, being like, "Hey, can you come here?" and setting him up. And he does the same thing with the little girl, but he knows his next move. So he asks the little girl, like, "Oh, can we switch phones?" So he gets the phone, being like, "Let's meet here." And he's like, "Oh, I knew he was gonna do this." But then plot twist, he had a backup plan and put a note in the girl's backpack. Then she would open
Right.
her and my gosh, but that fireworks scene and the bridge scene
Mhm.
and having his friends come together and help him in the future, just like they did in the past, even with the coma. I seriously don't know how I blacked out the coma part. Literally was like, this doesn't happen in the anime or here. Like, why would they do this? But it literally is a part of the plot. But yeah, I definitely like the ending of the live action more because I
Yeah.
forgot. So he's on the
With so with
roof?
so in the anime, they go through this entire monologue thing,
Yeah.
and then Satoru decides, "Okay, I'm just gonna kill myself, and then we're good to go. Like, you don't have me, whatever, whatever." And so he goes backwards in a wheelchair off the roof, and the teacher, like, attempts to save him. And then you look down, and it was an entire plan with Kenya and his mother's coworker, and there was a huge inflatable, like, one of those, like, fireman thing, and
Ah.
he caught him, and so the teacher, basically the councilman, gets arrested for attempted murder, and that's pretty much it. That's it. Like, he gets
Yeah.
arrested, and then at the very end, Satoru and Ari meet up, and, they essentially walk off into the sunset, basically. But that's pretty much the end. Like,
What
there's
was the
no
qualm you had?
I thought it was very rushed. I
Yeah.
thought it was rushed, and it made sense. It wasn't like, "Oh my god, where is this coming from?" But I couldn't help but compare it to the J-drama because I had already watched the J-drama, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
"This seems really rushed. This seems there could have been more context to this stuff. How the heck did everybody plan this out? They didn't even show them planning it out or
Yeah.
whatever, they just revealed it, which made sense. I mean, you thought the guy was killing himself off a roof, and then it was revealed he had a trampoline or whatever that inflatable thing is called.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little lackluster.
Mm.
It just didn't hit as well as the J-drama just because I'd seen the J-drama. prior.
Well,
So
I think the
I knew what it could be.
Yeah, I think the J-drama explained it a lot better. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
they actually flesh out the characters because you get to find out why he is this way, why he likes to kill.
yeah.
As much as, like, we hate a villain, it's always good to see what's actually behind, like, the turning wheels of their brain and why they do the things that they do. And it gives them more depth. And we definitely saw those scenes too where they were with the friends kind of collaborating, being like, help me with this, do that. And I think it's interesting that the anime didn't show that. I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, Kenya was a bigger role in the live adaptation. We got none of him as an adult, other than him coming when Satura wakes up from his coma. We got like one scene of Kenya coming in and saying like, "Hey, how you doing? Remember me?" And that was it.
Yeah.
We didn't get as much of the context with him as we did in the live adaptation.
Yeah.
Same with the cancer patient girl. The cancer patient girl showed up once, maybe twice in
That's so
the anime.
interesting. I don't even remember that, but I think it's good to know that like the anime was made before it was like finished. And then that's what like the live action they used what happened.
I'm pretty sure that's what I read on Google.
I wrote they did it with the power of friendship and defeated the bad guy. That's what I put.
Well,
The power of friendship. Yeah.
they had that theme of that power, like, what I would assume is, like, the equivalent of a Power Ranger.
Yeah. My notes are actually I don't even they're just like little snippets. I said, "Was not expecting him to put the note in the little girl's backpack. I was hoping the mom would recognize that's not his handwriting." She was right there. She could have been like, "Oh, my son doesn't write like that." No. Other than I put the crutches in the forest, my guy, please, please don't do that. But yeah.
Yeah, so it says, according to Reddit, they had, like, a half a year before the manga was finished, and
Okay.
they decided to start the anime. So if they had waited a half a year, they would have had the ending that the J-drama had in the anime.
Yeah.
But they
Interesting.
decided to just, like, I don't know, start it ahead of time. I don't really know the reasoning behind it.
I feel like some shows do that. I think I've seen that where they just start it and oh, they did that with Cheese in the Trap actually.
Oh, yeah,
I forgot, that was terrible. Yeah, the webtoon still wasn't finished, and they're like, "Let's just go," and that turned
right.
out pretty bad for them.
Yeah. They've done that a couple times with multiple mangas. It doesn't happen often, but I remember a couple times of it happening. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Overall, I think it's a good show. I really liked the live action, definitely. Now that I know, because I didn't realize they changed that much in the ending, but I think it just explains more and it's, like, tastes better.
Yeah. Yeah. It gives a lot more context.
Yeah.
So I remember the ending I remember the ending happening. I remember the bridge scene, I remember that whole setup or whatever, but for
Mhm.
some reason, I don't remember the fireworks.
Really?
I remember it being colorful. I remember the color, I remember the lighting, but I don't remember the source of the lighting being fireworks. I, for some reason in my head, thought it was he had somehow, with his power, had pulled the guy into a time-space continuum or
Oh,
something, and they were like,
interesting.
fighting in this
In the live
I
action?
don't know.
But when you
Yeah, I
rewatched
like
it, you were like,
when I rewatched it, I was like, "Oh, okay, that's where the color came from."
yeah. Well, I also wrote the goatee threw me off. 'Cause, like,
Yeah.
the goatee
It's
was
bad.
so bad.
It's bad. The
Like,
only reason
why?
I was okay with that was because he was actually wearing a fake beard, like, it
Yeah.
wasn't actually
No,
his
right?
beard.
Because at first I was like, "That's so why would he choose to look like it was so bad." But then, yeah, then you see the pictures of him as a councilman, you're like, "Wait a minute, he's just disguising himself. It's just a crappy disguise he's using." It was so bad. But I will say it was a thrilling chase. There's so much going on with the killer trying to frame him multiple times and
Mhm.
framing the people around him. And also him seeing his mom after she had just died as a kid. That scene was pretty emotional too, because he just goes back into the past, and he's this young boy at school, and he realizes
Mhm.
mom's alive. Mom's alive. I can see mom again. And he leaves school. He's just a young kid, leaves school, gets home, realizes his mom's not home from work yet, just waits to see his
Yeah.
mom. Mom gets home.
Yeah.
I think it does a good telling of just the family differences. Because, right, you're seeing him with his mom having a beautiful time, but then you're seeing this girl with her mom literally living in hell, writing poems about how she wants to leave this hellscape. And then,
Yeah.
him and his mom take her in, and she gets to see, I don't need to have this life. I could have a happy family. I love that they resolve that in a way where she does end up getting to leave the house where she's getting abused in, and we get to see his mother stand up to her mother. I thought that was also a really powerful scene. I think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
interesting how they showed those differences. Also, just showing the specific reasons why the killer was targeting these kids, because they didn't have anyone to lean on.
Right. Well, and then, like, the kid that got killed, even though he was a boy, it was all
Yeah.
girls
Ye-
except the one boy, and it wasn't explicitly said. I don't remember in the anime it was ever said, but in the J-drama, he had a one-sentence line where it was like, "Yeah, my parents are never home before 9." He was basically like a
Ah,
latchkey kid. He would go in and be in his house for
alone.
hours after school, and so, obviously, it wasn't like he was being abused or
Yeah,
anything,
all he had to do is
but
tell
it
the
was
teacher
like
that, though, and the teacher's like, "Oh,
yeah,
perfect target. Let's do some killing."
right, right.
So,
Yeah,
it's wild. it
yeah,
was good though. I've always thought that it's a good premise, and the story is pretty good. I liked the
yeah.
live action watch. It was just as enjoyable as the first time, but definitely did not realize they changed that much in the ending. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was interesting too because what I also liked, it reminded me of Voice, the K-drama. They
Hmm.
did the whole date countdown and the chalkboard.
Yeah, they did do that.
So that caused a feeling of what's the word I'm looking for? Urgency? Like it
Yeah,
was like, okay, he knows it's gonna happen on this date. We have
he's on a
5 days to
mission.
go.
Yeah.
What's gonna happen type thing?
And he has to gain their trust, because that's the thing, right?
Exactly.
These
Yeah.
kids don't have anyone, but that's because they don't really trust anyone.
Right.
So he's
Right.
like this young kid trying to be like, "Be my friend. Let's hang out. Let's do this. Let's," but he's like
Right.
also so urgently like, "Please just hang out with me. I'm trying to make sure you don't get murdered." Like it's a lot, but
Naming some of, like, the little differences, for example, you mentioned earlier that in the live adaptation, he ran after the bad guy.
yeah,
In the anime,
he doesn't.
he doesn't. He was running from the police and the power happened on his balcony. He got 3 steps out his door and the power happened, where he went back 18
Yeah.
years. So
That's
that's, like, a
interesting.
difference.
I also noticed the difference when he, like, I think it's in the anime, he can't find his desk because it's been so many years. He's like looking for,
Yeah.
like, he doesn't know where
Yeah.
to sit. But in the live action, he's like, "Let me go sit in my spot." Like,
Yeah.
how do you remember that? But I thought that was a funny little thing.
Yeah. Another thing that kind of stood out in the anime, which I did appreciate, which they didn't do as much in the live adaptation, is you got a lot more in the anime of when he went back in time, he would review the scene that he encountered, how it happened the first time. For example, when he and the girl with the red jacket, the abused girl, went to the tree in the forest. He reviewed and he was like, "Oh yeah, I went here by myself on this date. I did see the foxes, and in the anime, it was foxes. In the live adaptation, it was deer,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
like, the foxes ran around me by myself, so I was cool that I could show it to the girl with the red jacket, but they had a lot more of that, where he would think to himself like, "Oh, yeah, this is how it went down when I wasn't friends with this person," or when I encountered this by myself or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever, which the live adaptation didn't do much with that. And then the big difference I also saw other than the ending was Ari's attack.
Yeah?
Ari's attack in the anime versus a live adaptation was completely different.
Tell
I was
me.
very surprised.
Remind
I wish
me.
the live adaptation had done the anime attack.
What's the anime attack?
In the live adaptation, he goes back after not successfully doing it the first time, and he's like, okay, he's bummed out. He's trying to figure out how if he can go back again, and how he can fix it. And he finds this magazine that tells him he did make changes. It still resulted in kids dying, but the dates changed, how they died, where they were found were all different.
Yeah.
So he was like, oh, cool. I did something. I changed something. That means I can go back. He is still running from the police. He has to go in hiding still and trying to figure all this stuff out. Ari, his coworker from the pizza shop, decides to let him stay at her place, which happened in the anime as well. And the whole scene with the manager of the pizza still happened in both, where she punched the guy. In the anime, she punched the guy. In the live adaptation, I think she just slapped the guy. I don't
I
remember.
think
I
she
know it was like
slaps
physical
him.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a lot funnier in the anime. The anime also had a lot more comedy than the live adaptation. So we can get back to that. But in the anime, it was a house fire that she almost died in. And
Oh.
so the guy we come to learn is the teacher as the councilman. I don't remember why. Oh, so Satoru was off doing his research and talking to his mom's coworker.
Oh, yeah.
So he wasn't in the house. She gets in the house and she's like packing up bags and like all this stuff, right? Because he's going to leave, obviously. And he comes in, the killer person.
Mhm.
Also, it's a bigger apartment. It's not a studio like the live adaptation.
Interesting.
And he basically sets the house on fire. He's like, okay, I'm going to trap her in here and make it look like a fire, and she's going to die in it. And
See,
so Satoru gets home and sees the house on fire, and he runs in to save her and then realizes he can't come out because the police will be there.
oh,
And so
yeah.
the
It
pizza
corners
manager
him.
also goes in and is like, "Leave. I will save her. I will take her out." And so he goes out the back door or something, and the pizza guy saves her. Whereas in the live adaptation, she's pushed off a balcony.
She is pushed off a balcony. Yeah, and then my gosh. Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's, like,
So
little
I
differences.
kind of wanted the fire to happen because it was a little more exciting.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was dangerous being pushed off a second-story balcony and she was unconscious in the field behind her house, but still, it was.
Afterwards, do they still try to frame her?
No, they didn't do
Because
that in the anime.
then the live action, yeah, she's in the hospital after being thrown off the balcony, and she's overhearing the police be like, "Yeah, no, we found the knife that was used to kill the mom, and it had her fingerprints on it too. He must have
Mhm.
coerced her into killing the mother, so they're accomplices." And so she's like, "I gotta get out of this hospital. I don't know why the hell I'm
Right.
involved in this." But they didn't do that in the anime.
They didn't do it in the anime. She still left the hospital because they wanted to question her on if Satoru lit the house on fire.
Yeah.
So she left the hospital to give him a bag of clothes or whatever under the bridge to help him not live in her house anymore.
Yeah.
And that whole sequence of the police following her still happened in the anime.
Interesting. Okay.
But the whole fire thing didn't happen, which I kinda wanted in the live adaptation. Also, the whole stun gun thing in the
Yeah.
live
What's up with
adaptation
that?
did not exist in the anime.
I was like, was this a thing? Because all of a sudden I'm seeing this camera turn into a stunt. I'm like, I don't think this was in the anime because why would
Yeah.
what? Like, I was
He
kinda
he
confused
basically
about it.
just wanted to push the mom down the stairs
Yeah.
of the subway. He
Yeah, the
didn't wanna.
one
I don't know why he built the stun gun. He, like, could've just out of a disposable.
interesting.
And then also, there was a boyfriend with the mom, the abusive mom. There was a boyfriend in the anime.
Yeah, there wasn't in the live action.
There was not. And so they in one timeline, the teacher guy never killed her. In one timeline, the boyfriend did, and they
I don't
left her
remember
there
that.
to blame it on the killing people.
That's insane.
Yeah, yeah. So that was a big difference. And then also in the live adaptation, Kaio, the red coated girl,
Mhm.
she came back to school.
Yeah.
She never did in the anime. We never saw her again as a kid.
Interesting.
When she went to her grandmother's house or whatever, remember in the live adaptation, they were like, "Yeah, they allowed her to ride a bus for an hour and come back to school and finish out the school year."
Yeah.
That never happened in the anime. She left with her grandmother and never came back.
I see.
I
Did
kinda like that in the anime because I was like, "Okay, you saved her, but you didn't save her." because she's still in the town. He still could get
She still could
kidnapped
get
and
killed.
killed in the town.
That's true. The gloves, so that was always such a beautiful moment that, like, he gifted her
Yeah.
the gloves, and
Mhm.
then when she's leaving because he saved her, she waves with the gloves. That was a nice moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And then in the live adaptation, when Ari came and visited him in the hospital, Ari didn't actually come and visit him in the hospital, but she was walking
Yeah,
near the hospital. That never happened in the anime. That timeline of him remembering his memories did not happen because of Ari at all in the anime. He
interesting.
just remembered because of time.
I just still can't believe that I blocked out the fact he was in a coma because I was like, "No, he didn't forget his memories," and then I'm like, "No, he did forget his memories."
Well, and then speaking of comas too, the second coma in the live adaptation never happened in the anime. He never had a second coma because in the live adaptation, he went into a coma again for a year.
Oh, yeah. My
Yeah,
gosh.
that never happened in the anime either.
So interesting, the difference. Do you have any more?
I don't think so. I think that was pretty much everything that stood out, especially the ending. The last 4 episodes of live adaptation did not exist in the
Yeah,
anime
I was gonna
at all.
say because the differences are definitely changing the story a lot, so, I mean, we
A
already went
lot,
over those,
yeah.
though.
But, like, in the first 10 or so, it was very faithful to the anime.
Yeah.
To even, like, lines. The running joke in the anime when Satoru would say something out loud,
Mhm.
and then he would be like, "Well, I just said that out loud."
Yeah,
That line was prevalent in the live adaptation too.
that's a good one.
I was surprised rewatching this because, again, I watched the anime first because I wanted to see if there was comparison. I was surprised how faithful it was up until a point. It was sometimes scene by scene faithful. Granted,
Ooh.
with the anime, it happened a lot quicker.
Mm.
I remember with the anime, the birthday discovery of him trying to figure out her birthday,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
the first time he discovered her in the shed after being abused.
Yeah.
So that happened in episode 2 of the J-drama. That didn't happen until, like, episode 4 or 5 in the anime. It was sometimes really condensed in the anime, whereas the J-drama would spread that out, give more information, but other times it was not as condensed in the anime and really condensed in the J-drama. It depended on what that was, and the further you got into the J-drama, the less you could compare to the anime, obviously, but
Yeah.
there was definitely some differences in that, and then even how the powers were shown. In the anime, he basically just blinked. In the live adaptation, you kinda saw he drove into a tunnel or walked into a tunnel. In the anime, it was just, like, him blinking, and then he was there. How they even showed the power was different
Hmm.
compared to both. We saw red was a very prominent color in both.
Oh, yeah, especially with her red coat.
Yeah. Well, even in the anime too, red eyes was a huge thing
Oh, yeah.
with the villain. Even when going back to when he was going to push the mom down the stairs, his eyes turned red because
Cool.
he
Okay.
wanted to be a villain and well, he didn't wanna be a villain. He was
Who
going to
stopped
become a
him
villain.
from pushing the mom down the stairs? Who was
Kenya.
it? Kenya, yeah,
Kenya.
that's the one who
Yeah.
stopped him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I did not like about both of them, I thought it was apparent in both, was sometimes Satoru was dumb.
Yeah.
Even though he had supposedly had an almost 30-year-old mind in his head, he was really dumb
He did
sometimes.
some stupid things,
And,
he
like,
really did.
Kenya was smarter than him, and he was actually a kid. He didn't have 30-something-year-old mind in a kid's body.
Well, and he grew up to
Uh,
be like a lawyer, right? Like
right,
he
yeah,
grew up to be a smart he was very smart, whereas this person that's not as smart gets these powers. It's kind of comical in that sense because he just didn't
yeah.
have but then his friend that's young is like, "I can help you." And he has such a smart mind and is thinking of all these different things. Like, although I think he thought of did he think of it where he threw the rock in the person's window that was put in jail? Because they framed him for the murders, but because he threw the rock, the police were there that day.
Mhm.
He had an alibi, so he wouldn't go to jail. I think that was all Satoru's brain.
Yeah, yeah, and some moments he did think of it, but other moments I'm just like,
Dude.
"Why? Why? Why did you think that way?" Some of the other kids just made really bad decisions, but at least you were understanding that they're literally children
Yeah.
making these decisions. It made more sense when they made a bad decision versus Satoru
Well,
making a bad decision.
I remember seeing discourse, and correct me if I'm wrong, but people were kind of mad that him and Redcoat didn't end up together later on. Didn't she marry his best friend or
She
something?
married
One of his
married
friends.
the she married the feminine boy,
Yeah. Yeah.
the other victim that was
And
supposed to die.
I mean, I was fine with that, but people were like, "Why didn't he end up with Red Coat Girl?" And I'm like, I mean, I don't think that this isn't a romance
Right.
show.
Yeah.
It's thriller, it's the whole point of
Mhm.
saving others. So I thought that was interesting that people were saying that about that, but
I could see why they would want them together because
yeah.
the ruse that he used to get close to her at first was he liked her.
It was yeah,
So
I will s and that's what I was like, I don't like that this 27-year-old man is like, "Let's go on a date." I was like,
yeah,
Sir, that's a little" but as long as they're safe and nothing weird,
right.
but and they seem pretty platonic. I think they
And
held
I think that's
hands,
pretty
and
much
that's
why.
fine. Yeah,
It's very clear that he was really only doing it
to
to
save her.
save her
Yeah.
and wanted her to have a good life. And I think the intention was never to have a romantic
No,
relationship with her
absolute
ever.
no, and the only
No,
thing
at
is,
all.
like, with the high schooler, I was, like, treading a fine
Yeah,
line with that for me, really,
yeah.
kinda, but, I mean
Yeah, she clearly had interest in him. That was apparent for sure.
yeah.
I will agree. I think the live adaptation did a better job of him being, like,
It made it more
not really
platonic.
yeah, not really interested in you.
Yeah,
I
whereas l
care about you. Like,
yeah.
obviously, if you have a killer and who's also now trying to kill you because of me, yeah, I care about that. Beyond that, I don't know. Like, you
Whereas
are
the
10 years younger than
anime,
me.
I feel like the anime kinda played into it more, and that was what I was, like, not a huge fan of with
Right,
that, for sure.
right. Yeah. The other thing I loved was, as you said already, the cinematography
Oh,
of
yeah.
the J-drama, especially the snow scenes. But
Yeah,
even the color grading was really nice
yeah.
because they made red a very emphasis color, they color graded a lot of the other stuff to show the red more, but
Mhm.
also with the time jumps, the color grading between the times were
Oh, yeah,
different
because in the future, it was more dark. It was
and a little
more
more like gray.
yeah,
Gray.
which almost gave the mood that, like, things aren't good in the future, even though you're older and, you live in your life, and then in the past, they definitely emphasized a lot more, and it was more colorful for sure.
Show the children's whimsy in a way.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
youthfulness of them trying to
yeah.
catch a killer.
Right, right.
Yeah,
I also agree that I love the mom as well. I loved in general that her house became a safe space,
a safe haven
not
for the
just for
kids,
the red coat girl, but, like, for anybody.
for all the kids.
Um,
She was a great mom.
yeah, and she fully trusted her son. Obviously, she cared for him and wanted to know where he was, but she never questioned him. She just was like, "Are
I
you
thought
in trouble?
yeah,
Are you going to do something bad?" And he's like, "No, I'm not. I swear." And she's like, "Okay, cool. I'm not gonna ask what you're doing,
yeah, she was
whatever."
very
And like,
trusting.
yeah, very trusting. And I think that helped in terms of that scene where they didn't know once they found out where that the killer came into the bus.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, where are we gonna go? Because we obviously can't take her back to her house.
Yeah.
So they brought her to his mom, and his mom wasn't angry per se. She just was like, "Okay, well, let me go give you food."
Yeah. Very understanding. Yeah.
At least didn't outwardly show that, so,
But she was a good character for
yeah.
sure.
The other thing with, like, speaking of chemistry, I also thought rewatching this with the live adaptation at least, I always thought her coworker and her possibly could get together.
No, I think the same thing because they have like the same wavelength and they
Yeah.
have like, good conversations and it seems like it's possible for sure, but I don't think that was
Mhm.
something they wanted to even dig into.
Right,
Mm.
because we don't even know about Satoru's dad at all.
Oh,
Nothing
they make
about
that a
that.
mystery for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part, most of these people were all the parent figures were single
Yeah.
that we saw in all of this,
Except in the anime, which is
except
interesting.
in the anime with the boyfriend. That's all I got.
That's
I
all
think
I
that's
got
pretty
too.
much that's that's pretty much all I've got. So, overall, like, which would you said you like the J-drama more, does that still stand?
Yeah, I'd probably recommend the J-drama, and mainly it's because of what I said before. In the anime, it seems like they're trying to add a little bit of romance, but it's with, like, the age gap
Mhm,
stuff, and I just wasn't comfortable with that. Just I like the live action. I think, they did it really well, like
mhm.
I said, the cinematography and, like, the coloring and all of that, and the explanations of as to why some of these people are doing these things was helpful, whereas in the anime, they didn't really go into that. What
Yeah, it
about
was
you?
interesting because, like, usually you would say, like, the anime gave more context. At least
Yeah,
for me,
right?
every time I've done a anime live adaptation reverses episode, it's always been like, watch the anime if you want more context because the live adaptation glosses over
'Cause it
things.
usually skips stuff because it has to shorten it. Yeah.
Right, yeah, and then in this context, it's the opposite. I
Yeah.
also think the J-drama is better than the anime. I still think the anime is good, I'm glad I watched it,
Yeah.
but I do think the J-drama is better in my opinion. Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Alright, so that's the end of our episode. If you guys have seen either this anime or J-drama and you feel like our opinions were incorrect or were correct, or let us know which ones you liked more, whatever you want, please comment or DM us or
Yeah,
whatever
tell
you'd like.
us. We wanna hear your thoughts.
Yes. And speaking of that, Becky, where can everybody find you?
Oh gosh. So you can find me on TikTok, Don't Sue Rebecca, and Instagram, same username. And then I have a podcast I actually went on hiatus for I think about 8 months now. But it's called Drama Detours, and it's fun.
And it's fantastic, and you should go listen to it
I should make more.
whenever you're ready.
Whenever I'm ready. Gosh, but thank you for having me. It was so fun
Yeah, thank
discussing
you for
this.
doing this. I'm really glad that it was interesting to hear your perspective watching the J-drama for the first time and then me watching the anime, which is why I wanted to do it. I'm
Yeah.
glad we were able to have
I
this
forgot
conversation.
so much that happened in the anime. Like, it was crazy to it was cool though to, like, kinda compare it was really cool to compare them, so,
Mhm.
yeah.
Alright, well, thank you for coming on as a guest, Becky. Thank you everybody else who has listened to this. Let us know what you think, and if you have not seen this J-drama and you're looking for a fantastic crime J-drama, please go and watch it and then let us know.
That's a good one.
But thank you for listening to this episode. Bye.
Bye.
If you want to continue the conversations about dramas that were started in this episode, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky under the username No Sleep for Dramas. That is No Sleep, the number 4 dramas, just like in the title of the podcast. This podcast is also an expansion of my blog, so you can visit my blog at www.nosleepfordramas.com, the number 4 dramas.com, and find multiple years of blog posts already available at your fingertips. All links are in the description of this episode. Finally, please give this podcast a like or a follow wherever you listen to the podcast. Leaving a comment or a review also helps a lot. We love hearing ideas and feedback from all of you. Share the podcast with your friends as well. Thank you for listening. This has been an episode of the No Sleep for Dramas podcast, and I am your host, Caitlin. I will see you here next time, and I hope you get no sleep chasing the next episode just like me. Good night.